Hello, everybody. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week. I'm Randy Patrick, your host, putting the realism back into real estate. Today, I'd like to talk about something I saw out of a magazine. It's called Fortune magazine. I have a subscription to it, so I see real estate, information here and there in different articles. Love to find out, and talk about what different people's take is on the marketplace. So today, we're going to actually delve into that a little bit, and we are going to look at, from what their perspective is, the best and worst places in the U.S. to invest in real estate during the pandemic. All right. So again, this is an article in Fortune. It came out a few weeks ago. I've been looking at it a little while, and I thought, okay, time to make a video. Again, different perspective on things. First of all, if you're not already a subscriber, if you could please do me a favor and click that button on the bottom right, subscribe to help my channel grow. I would really appreciate that. Secondly, if you have any questions about what I'm going to talk about today, or like more information on real estate investing or my products and services, please hit me up with an email. Leave your phone number in there so I can text you as well too, and then we can have a chat and see how we can work together. All right, guys. So let's do this right now. We're going to the new scene here. We're in it. And here's the scoop. So basically, they have a top 10 and best list of places to invest, and then, of course, 10 worst places. Clearly, they had a methodology to figure out how to actually, calculate or tell us where we should be investing. So according to their methodology, to find the best and worst places to invest in the real estate, they looked at the following metrics for 200 of the largest metropolitan areas in the U.S. First of all is home affordability, or the ratio of median list price, which they got from Realtor.com, to the median household income, which is the U.S. Census Bureau. Employment in high-risk industries like tourism that were most affected by the pandemic, which they got from Moody's Analytics. Population base of 25 to 34 from the Census Bureau. Percentage of second homes from the Census Bureau. Housing markets hotness score. Okay, so it's not a Snapchat dealio here. It's their hotness score, I guess, for the hottest markets from Realtor.com. Page views per home listing from Realtor.com, and monthly change in home listing price and housing inventory from Realtor.com. So these are the things they're putting together to determine what they believe is the best and worst places to invest in the U.S. right now during the pandemic. So here is their chart. Take a look at this right now. Okay, you've got 10 best, which is the blue dots, and 10 worst, which is the red dots. So we can see they're kind of all over the place here, but it looks like we've got, if you actually think about it, it's almost like it's ringing the outer parts of the country all around the borders as opposed to the middle, but we'll still review all these. So I'll put this back up in a sec. But if we want to look at the list, here we've got for the best places to invest, all right? So you got your best markets. And I wanted to say too, before we get into it, when they talk about investing, they're not really clear whether, what type of investing you're going to do. Is this single-family residential? Is this fix and flip? Is this cash flow? Is this second home, Airbnb, multifamily? So they're not really clear in this, but they're just, I guess, putting some generalities out there. I'm going to suggest that they're probably talking about rental properties, cash flow rental, maybe, and when I'm going to say residential typically is 1 to 4 units. That's what residential is, I guess, designated as. Anything 5 units and above is commercial. That's the way it's thought of in the real estate world. So single family residential, 1 unit, duplex 2, triplex 3, quadplex 4. So I'm going to assume that they're talking residential real estate, probably some cash flow here. So it's at least establish that basis point. So if you take a look at what's going on, they've got Austin, Austin, Texas, as your number one place to invest. Next is going to be Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fargo, North Dakota, Columbus, Ohio, Sioux Falls, North Dakota, Killeen, Temple area, Texas, Manchester area of New Hampshire, Bakersfield, California, Fresno, California, and Clarksville, Tennessee, Kentucky area. Well, obviously, with respect to Austin, that's the number one market. They believe it's got good demographics. Millennials are going there. And when you take a look at the home price to income, I guess you could say ratio is reasonable, and employment in high-risk industries is reasonable as well too. So high-risk industries to them would be tourism, service industries, whatever. Now, obviously, Austin has a lot of high tech that's building and growing there. They've got education as well too with the universities and stuff. So they look at Austin as being a good place to invest. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Again, I think North Carolina is usually a decent place to invest in. Lots of tech companies are going there and growing there. It's good quality of life. It's got favorable weather conditions, etc. Fargo, North Dakota. Not too sure what goes on there. I know there's a lot of, I've been reading in the past, a lot of oil and energy going on up there. Whether that's happening now, I don't know. Columbus, Ohio. Columbus being, I think, a university town. And I believe it's the capital of Ohio, I think. But again, not too bad here. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Again, up on the sort of the north there of the country. Not too sure what goes on there. Killeen, Temple, Texas. Killeen, I'm aware of that there is military base there, and for whatever reason, I've seen lots of smaller multifamily units, like 30, 40 unit complexes for sale over the past few months there. So something's obviously going on in Killeen. Manchester, Nashua, not too sure what's happening in New Hampshire. Bakersfield, California, Fresno, California, and Clarksville, Tennessee. So that rounds it out. So you can take a look at, their home price to income scores are relatively decent. Employment in high-risk industries is reasonable as well too. Basically, some of the comments are here. They have lots of soon-to-be prime age first-time buyers and affordable real estate. I guess you could say, again, and also looking at the, you could say median home price versus median household income ratio is reasonable. When it gets higher, it's less affordable. So, again, this is something someone could buy, rent out, or eventually fix and flip potentially, and then buyers who are coming into prime buying age, you would still assume that some of these price points, if you look at the median prices, they still look reasonably affordable. Listen, when you're at $199 in Fayetteville, that's pretty affordable. I'm looking at California there. When you're looking at Bakersfield and Fresno being, under $400,000, under $350,000, that's still pretty good for California. So, if you think about that, your most expensive is up in New Hampshire, and it's over in Austin. So, but again, you're not talking $800,000, $900,000, dollars for a median price. You're still talking pretty reasonable. And median price is right in the middle. So you're going to have your fair share of homes below that price point, above that price point. So there would be some pretty good selection there, I would assume. This would be based on inventory. But again, they're looking at it going city dwellers, leaving the urban centers and coming to these type of locations. Second homes, vacation homes, seeing greater interest. So, you could take a look at this being an opportunity if you're living somewhere and you wanted a good quality of life for various reasons. That these are places you may want to look at. Now, the amenities at each one of these locations, I'm not too sure what's there. If I look at this, I've really never been to. I've been to Columbus. Rest of the places I've never really been to, so I couldn't tell you what goes on there. But again, I think it's really a combination of statistical analysis saying, hey, your home to price income is reasonable. There's obviously some other benefits there, which would probably equate to a pretty good quality of life, especially if you're not paying too much out of your take-home income for housing expenses. So that's a scoop on your 10 best places to invest in. If you want to go now, take a look at again. So the sort of red or orangey dots are your 10 worst places. So you can see there's a bunch on the West Coast area as well too. Down south, actually predominantly in the West Coast. So let's go pop into that list right now. And what do we got here? So Atlantic City, New Jersey, number 1. And really some of the stuff is going to be kind of obvious. The reasoning behind it is not necessarily the price point, but look at your employment in high-risk industries. And again, high-risk industries is assuming it's tourism, hotels, things that go on like that attraction-based stuff where if people aren't traveling, they're not consuming, they're not going to restaurants, they're not going to events, they're not going to attractions, they're not going to hotels, they're not gambling, etc. So obviously Atlantic City, casinos, fun place to go. Vegas, and we're looking at Vegas being probably that's all Clark County there. So Las Vegas, Henderson, etc. Again, because of the pandemic has created bad places to invest. Honolulu, same thing. Honolulu is an expensive place to I guess you could say, to invest in, to own a home. A lot of that area is dependent on tourism, and you don't have that at this point in time. Salinas, California, again, $900,000 price point there. Look at the home price to income ratio is pretty darn high. LA, same thing. You've got a higher than average, employment in high risk industries, and you've got pretty high, home price to income ratio. Santa Cruz, California, same thing. High price points, high ratio. Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, again, high price, high ratio. Not too bad on the employment risk side. Savannah, not too bad with pricing. Savannah's actually a nice place. Home price ratio is good, but same thing. Coastal town in Georgia, going to get hit big time by the lack of tourism and travel. Medford, Oregon, not too sure what goes on up there, but again, higher than average. We're almost double digits in the ratio, and more than 15% on the high risk employment. And the New Orleans area, again, I must look at, it's over 22, 23, almost 24%, no, 23% on the employment in high risk industries. And that's the thing. I mean, that's looks like what it boils down to too, is that the locations where they're saying don't invest right now. Why is that? Well, because people are not working, so you're going to have a hard time. You may be fixing and flipping. You may have a hard time renting. Well, that's interesting. If we take a look at this map, and you can see where the dots are. So, whoops, let me go back a bit here. If we take a look at the dots, I mean, the worst being the red. So we've got on the West Coast, you've got number 9, number 6, number 4, number 7, Honolulu number 3, LA number 5, and then Vegas number 2. So the West Coast seems to be getting beaten up. New Orleans, obviously, number 10, Savannah, and Atlantic City, and it's almost like you're a little bit more inland as opposed to coastal with respect to some of these more stronger places to invest. Now, one of the things I want to comment here, though, is that this could be just for right now. So right now, if you look at some of the information, and again, listen, you can create anything and come up with any sort of calculation or analysis you want to make it work for you. I'm not debating the effectiveness of this. Clearly buying a home for rental in a place like Santa Cruz may be foolish for a lot of reasons, price point and income to a median home price ratio and things like that. However, a place like Las Vegas, maybe you don't want to buy in Vegas now, but I can tell you that a lot of these locations, New Orleans, Las Vegas, Honolulu, Atlantic City, Savannah, even some of the California locations, come this time next year, maybe some great deals to be had there. If you recall, CoreLogic basically saying that they believe that Vegas is going to have a 20% decline in value. Well, if properties decline, then guess what? You pick them up at cheaper, do some negotiation. Suddenly things, eventually things will open up and things will get back to normal. Then people will flock to Las Vegas and it'll start over again. So the opportunity's there. So these are almost like we're looking at, creating mini bubble, mini boom bust cycles in each little city. And I think that's, this is how it's going to play out over the next little while. Is we're not going to see if you're looking to see a national, housing crisis that's going to, implode, and we're going to see 30%, price reductions across the board, and we're all going to be, jumping up for joy. We're not going to see that at this point in time. We're probably going to see little mini bubble markets, having their own issues that will drive some of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, clearly a Las Vegas will have more problems than a Killeen, Texas, or a Fargo, North Dakota, based on what goes on there, its proximity in the country, and its labor pool, and what the major industries are, the major, income earning potential jobs, etc., employment, like that's what goes on there. So, but as I said, this will be future opportunity. So for me, anywhere that it's a worse place to invest today is going to be a great place to invest maybe a year from now, maybe 6 months from now. And one thing, we got to look at going, we're still under a foreclosure and eviction moratorium right now. So what's happening is every month that goes by, people who were in the process of foreclosure get another free pass that they can remain in their property, not paying a mortgage or not paying a rent possibly, and not get evicted. So that's a good chance to save money, hopefully, if you're employed, or just to stay status quo if you're out of a job and you're receiving benefits, etc. But the point is, once these moratoriums release, then we're going to see a wave of distress being positioned to hit the market. So that's why we're going to see distress waves coming. I think 2 or 3, a couple of mini waves, then a bigger wave next year. So that's going to happen. But again, my point today is that this is from Fortune magazine. This is based on their analysis and their calculations. The stuff at the beginning, the methodology, how they weighted that methodology, and how they used it to determine best to worst 1 through 10. I don't know the calculation, but we can take a look at, you can see what is the best markets tend to be, in what I would say, interior stable environments, whereas the worst locations tend to be exterior, coastal, or very high price locations, or high unemployment based on the demographic of what makes up employment in those locations. But again, as I said, this could be great opportunities for people to do real estate investing down the road, or not too far down the road as far as I'm concerned. Certainly Vegas. I would be looking at Vegas as a great opportunity, and I think a couple of California places too. You can pick up some stuff off short sales, and even Savannah, because a lot of movements coming to the southeast, and Savannah is a nice place to check out. So, having said that, guys, appreciate the time today. Appreciate the likes, comments, and all your views. If you'd like more information about how to, invest or even buy your primary residence with respect to what's going to happen in this next housing, crisis, please send me an email. Put your telephone number in there, your cell phone. I can text you, and we can chat and we can talk. Stuff will be happening, as I mentioned in some previous videos. It seems like nothing's going on now, because it really isn't. We're kind of in this state of limbo. It's almost like we're in a what I'm looking for, like a freeze frame right now. Nothing's happening, but pressure is bubbling and mounting underneath. We're going to see some stuff happening the next little while, next few months. All right, take care. Again, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Please like and share the video. We'll be talking to you tomorrow.